everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 25 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in ECW history with match number 26 on our list, which is the 2 out of 3 Falls match between Rey Mysterio Jr. and Juventud Guerrera from the Big Ass Extreme Bash Night 2 event held on March the 9th of 1996. So at this point, Rey Mysterio has already established himself as being untouchable in ECW. He's wrapped up his feud with Psychosis and the matches that they had. He's established a partnership with 911, the unlikely big, small allies that don't seem that they should fit, but they absolutely do. Something that we would see, years later in the WWF with Kane and X-Pac. I always like that juxtaposition on tag teams. Unfortunately, we really wouldn't see Rey and 911 do much more other than the great match with the Eliminators at House Party 96 because, Rey would go to WCW. But coming out of the Psychosis feud, ECW just producing, excellence. They decided to bring in Rey's other rival from AAA, Juventud Guerrera, and basically just show the greatness that they had been producing in Mexico to the US as well. And again, all of these guys would end up creating the Cruiserweight division in WCW. But here, these guys had one singles match prior, coming into the Big Ass Extreme Bash, which was a 2-night event. First night in New York, second night in Philly. They would compete in a series of 2 out of 3 Falls matches, exactly what they would generally do in Mexico and AAA. So the first night, the New York City event, just kind of got shown in clipped format on the commercial release of this. A little bit got shown on TV, but the 2 out of 3 Falls match in New York never aired in full, just the clips. The Philly one, though, did on the commercial release as well as on Hardcore TV. This match is also on a bunch of different DVD compilations, so tons of ways that you can see this one. We start off with mat work. A lot of lucha matches start that way. But it's something that I really dug. Rey immediately tries to make this his match. So after the initial mat work, he basically just muscles Juventud into the corner, puts him on the top rope, and hits a Rana off the top rope for 2. Right, that Rana off the top had been established that's, kind of Rey's go-to finish. He hits it really early on and tries to seal that first fall. Because it's so early, Juventud kicks out. But we would see that Rana come back, throughout the course of the match, which we will get into. Pace quickens, as you would expect from these guys. We get a bunch of really nice sequences. Like I said in the Rey and Psychosis match from Gangster's Paradise, everything that they do still holds up as being awesome today, right? These sequences are timeless, and we see all of the wrestlers of today do the same thing because of how they emulate guys like Rey and Psychosis and Juvi and all the cruiserweights of this era. Not Psychosis. Juventud ends up hitting like a springboard somersault dropkick, which was a pretty crazy spot, and a dragon suplex to finish the first fall in relatively short order. Again, if you're familiar with lucha, the first 2 falls generally kind of go a little quickly, and then it's that third fall where, things really start to develop. No different here. So almost feels like an authentic AAA match, being transported into the ECW arena. We get some crazy spots from Rey, as you would expect. Juvi, clearly doesn't study his tape and does a classic Psychosis spot where he goes for basically like a running 3/4 Fez press into the corner. Rey moves, Juvi bumps out onto the apron, and Rey proceeds to hit a Hurricane Rana off the top rope, onto Juvi, off the ring apron to the floor. Again, that's a spot that still makes our jaws drop today. Doing it in 1996. He follows that up with, something that we've seen a lot of times from Rey, but, the traditional referee is, doing the count out to the floor, and Rey runs and hits the somersault over the referee's back, onto the floor. So they hit that here. Back in the ring, Juvi, tries for whatever he can. He goes for like a springboard turnaround crossbody, gets drop kicked, and Rey busts out a sit-out Doctor Bomb, which is not something you'd see from him a lot, right? Smaller wrestler, but he busts that out to get the second fall and even it up. The third fall is where this really hits that traditional ECW style. We get crowd brawling from both guys. They fight on the floor a little bit more. Juvi hits a drop kick while both guys are on the top rope. That sends, Juvi falling back into the ring and Rey out to the floor. Follows that up with a baseball slide and an acai moonsault into the crowd. We again go back to that Hurricane Rana. Rey tries to run off the top, gets flipped off the top. Juvi tries a diving Hurricane Rana. Rey counters that into a powerbomb. Just big moves galore. Juventud Guerrera, again, like I mentioned with Rey, a smaller wrestler, but he's a little bit bigger than Rey. You can really throw him around. So he hits a wild gorilla press that he then turns into like a bridging fall-away slam. Just a nutty, like almost Scott Steiner-esque spot being, you know, busted out by little Juventud Guerrera. So just wild, wild stuff. Rey counters a move into like a head scissors on the floor, grabs a chair and just wallops Juvi with a chair shot, hits a somersault dive into the crowd. So again, very ECW style, like I've mentioned. But what this match is remembered for, and something, you know, a little outside of the box for what you would see out of these guys, you know, traditionally, right, that, you know, beautiful lucha libre fast-paced style, but these guys actually go outside the ECW arena into the parking lot, and in something you've probably seen clips of before, Juventud Guerrera hits a powerbomb to Rey onto the hood of a car, and Rey proceeds to then hit a diving Rana off the roof of the car onto Juvi. Just really memorable stuff, you know, that made this match feel special and unique. Not much longer after that, though, that we get the finish, and something that I'll mention, again, just showing that the impact that these guys have, you know, for younger wrestlers patterning themselves after them. You know, this was March of '96 in the ECW arena. 8 years later, we would see the late Trent Acid and Teddy Hart do the exact same spots. They would have a match at the ECW arena for CZW. They would go out to the parking lot and they would hit power bombs and Ranas and things like that off of the car. So again, just timeless stuff that would be emulated for years to follow. Back in the ring though, like I said, finish comes in relatively short order. We go back to the ring. Rey tries to capitalize, goes for a charge. Juvi, you know, sidesteps him. Rey ends up on the top rope. Juvi goes up and tries to finish him with Splash Mountain, but we know what Rey's going to do in that situation. You know, we talked about you can't powerbomb Kidman and you can't head scissors Austin Aries and all these traditional like counter spots guys would do. Well, you can't hit a Splash Mountain powerbomb on Rey Mysterio. He counters it into a Hurricane Rana, a move that we would see him win numerous matches, you know, with throughout the years, especially the Halloween Havoc 97 mask match against Eddie Guerrero. But he hits that, and that's enough for the third fall. Great ovation from the crowd post-match. Of course, Dave Meltzer gave this match 5 stars at the time. You know, at the time, it would have been incredibly groundbreaking. We've seen these guys do things like this before, but it's still an incredibly fun, state-of-the-art for 96 match that really, really holds up. More than worthy of a spot, you know, in the mid-range on this list. Like I said, you can find this match on the WWE Network. It might be available on Peacock. It's on a whole bunch of DVDs if you're a physical media person. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you don't miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.